Good morning in Australia. Good afternoon in Canada and the States. The subject of the talk is Mahamudra and Lojong combined together today. Lojong and Mahamudra goes together very nicely because basically all the teachings of Buddha is Lojong. It's training of the mind, transforming the mind, purifying the mind. And so Mahamudra is method of cultivating samatha and method of cultivating shunyata and cultivating realization of ultimate Mahamudra, which is tantric Mahamudra, which is the clear light and bliss. So that in the Puripunda Peva Solangi Rashidili Samdishuguyo, the Peva Gavuchung Tujiche, and therein the to share the Lojong down and charges Chamboni Namdo sharing Karin Shuna Chitan Sanji Chu Sama Lojong Re Lojong Ayagitini Damarawa and then how doing Toyang and charges Chambo that the Lojong the Jibare, the Lojong Re Ganshina charges Chambo data and Dolu charges Chimboji, Malu charges Chimboji, then Shinegi charges Chimbo, and then Landong charges Chimbo, charges Chimbo the Rimbandamanda Kashi or that charges Chimbo we Kasho, Miu, rather Miu de Lojong, Semde, Boji, Lo Chusundo, Cholams, Lamndoa, Lala Pachemeva, Anes, Karshota, and Ninjung Chansim Yand of Tawa. How about the Yand of Tawa? Toya with Akasho Tap, Milana Mabachik, Red Charges somebody. Today in Tane, that Lojung Yins and Lavnamindio Yomare, that Ambong in the Lojung Chanjo Kologi, Chikolog in the Matet in the Lee. So I go to the text here, the wheel of sharp weapon, a little bit, and then we'll go into Mahamudra. Here we are, verse 51. I think I already went through verse 50 last time. And the last verse 50 explains about the two truth, absolute truth and conventional truth, and the 4 powers of Dharma practice. 4 powers, or we call it in Tibetan, top hi. Top is Tibetan word. In Sanskrit word is pala. Pala usually also means fruit. But so there are 4 powers. What are the 4 powers? And so let me look at the 4 powers. Topshi in Tibetan we call 4 powers. Power of object and power of remedy and so on. I think I explained that last time. Maybe don't need to talk about this again. but I will talk a little bit anyways. So basically the 4 powers are method of cultivating Dharma realizations, method of purifying the mind, power of remedy, power of object, and power of opponent, and so forth, and also power that you make a commitment again to not to engage into non-virtuous actions and so forth. So these are very important for in terms of cultivating Lojong. In other words, to be able to practice Lojong successfully, and you need those 4 powers. Autos top yidi top the he nyamni chia the kitchen borati lojung nyamni the puta way away yoyanda chidang chu nyamne chu lale chu nyamne kanga ya woji yala lojung de lojung sa dan pa top shidi tujun de tonana ya de shira kitchen bore nyamne na de kitchen bore autos chita de shologa de ngapchunga chi verse 51, Dawu zirwe ringa jabodam, korwe nes ronga manchibal, leji tsonche toni, yugjeba, danzin gongbo shebe, dukzubjin, rajin pungdun yube, tamyam kuk. Okay, so this is a kind of new now, we are going to new kind of phase. And these words are very powerful. It is quite wrathful expressions explaining here, and almost like exorcism here. Let's let me read this translation here, verse 51. Bearing your fangs of 4 great opponents, devours the foe, our cruel, selfish concerns, with your powerful mantra of cherishing others, demolish this enemy lurking within. So this translation is not so clear or not perfect, I would say, from my point of view. So I will now translate myself a little bit here. Tibetan word is Davos Rewe Ringa Jabodans. Corwin is wrong manchibar. Leji Soncha Tony Jugjeba. Danzing Gombo Shibe, Dukzubji, Raji Pumi Jube, Damyong Kuk. So there is a Tibetan word, Dangzing Gombo. Dangzing Gombo is Dangzing is self-cherishing, self-grasping, which is a kind of got a nickname from the Dharma point of view. Dharma term in Tibetan word is called Dangjing Gongbo. Gongbo actually means the self-cherishing, which is kind of very, I don't know how to exactly translate in English. It's because it's kind of like a slang, right? And Gongbo is kind of like a very stubborn mind. Okay, I think my interpretation, the best word I could find or translate the Gongbo, Tibetan word Gongbo, is like a stubborn mind. So when you become very stubborn, well, again, stubborn is not a black and white, not always good, not always bad. Usually, stubborn means somebody's person is very certain character, strong-minded, and he or she won't sort of negotiate. He won't give up easily, and this person has strong character, right? And very strong-minded. It could be good, could be not so good. So here in this case, the self-cherishing is very stubborn. It is not very good. because it's hard to tame, hard to subdue, and because you have this self-cherishing mind, it has been with you for a long time, perhaps all your life, and a long time. So it sort of rules your life, controls your life. And here, Dangjin Gomboshi, Dukzubjin is Tibetan word, means very wrathful. And Ranyi Pondunjubi, Tamyam Cooks, Ranyi Pond. So what it does is this strong, stubborn self-cherishing, it deceives myself, it deceives other people. In other words, it becomes a problematic for myself and for others. It becomes a problem for myself because it deceiving myself, it causing problems, creating unwholesome karmas for myself, and it can hurt other people by my strong self-cherishing, selfish mind. Kind of could be a narcissistic mind. And Rangin Pung means deceiving, and Yube Tamyam Ko. So here, strong word. It says Tamyam is another Tibetan word, which means usually Tamyam means somebody who broke vows and commitments, and it's called Tamyam. It also Tamyam means something not very good, not very good. And that person doesn't have a good energy and doesn't have virtuous energy, and because he or she broke the vows and commitments and so forth, so forth. Anyway, so here the word is Tamyam cook. Okay, the cook actually means cook is Tibetan word, like it has several different meanings. Cook means like subdue. Okay, cook, subdue. And it's like you are a wild animal, like a bull or an elephant or wild buffalo or something you want to catch. It's not easy to catch, right? And if you can catch, then it be could be risky one. Better not to try to catch or leave him alone. Or if you do, then you have to know what you're doing with this animal, and you might harm yourself or harm him, and you don't know how to handle it. And if you're a good Mahamudra elephant person, and then he knows what to do. Anyway, so now what this Dangzin self-cherishing does, it and what it does is it has a lot of power. This self-cherishing is kind of like like some kind of like warrior, or somebody's running around with the swords and weapon, sharp weapon, and he could strike you, he could harm you. He could also accidentally harm himself, stab him himself, right? Sometimes those kind of warriors, they harm themselves and don't know how to handle with the weapons, and forgot how to handle. So so it makes you be going around inside samsara, and this self-cherishing causes you go round and round in samsara, and without self-control, without self-freedom, and it's force you to be in samsara, going around. You have a hard time to get out from samsara, from this world, and therefore one has to be mindful and practice the opponent power for self-cherishing. Opponent power that Bogeto Jishugin, that Karsho, Covenant Rama Juta, Danzing Wombudigi, true Senamon, Top Jitini, call and then Ram Evandus Corny, the way are it. Any Tindi insanity, Danzing Digi Journey, Social and Michela, like Hela, Rajini Pongsudoa, Rangin Pundu US, Tamyam Rangin, you got a Pungu, Tene, that dancing Mumbutella, Karso, that Nimboya, which is Tente Manduriagi, Duriag Tashi, or Naronas, or Tendela, each other in the Karichigua and Duna Chero, Ha Dangin and Ha, or Gomjig in the Gom Karichig and that Ale Avuchi zero now, Sungoya, that Dodo, Tonda Dodo, the Imada. Ale ti dancing Gombodi la Yapoji Tene, ti Manduria get Tashi Ching the switch up. So Simdi, Jawa, so Simdi. Simdi, Jawans and Simdi Niluti, I was here. I was here, because Simdi Niluti, I was here, right? They tell Niluti, Simdi Niluti, I was here, that Tashi Nang or Resumor. So, and now how do I control these self-cherishing mind, strong character, stubborn mind, and how do I subdue? So the question is, there's nothing else can subdue. Perhaps certain remedies, like external remedies, such as mantra recitations or some practice of Idam deities, something like Yamantaka practice, Hayagriva practice, some Ratho deity practice, maybe can subdue. Can subdue. Yeah, sometimes, a lot of times it does, but again, it really comes to your mind. You have to have the strength, you have to have self-confidence to do the opponent power practice. You have to have self-confidence in the practice. For example, if you are going to use powerful mantras and deity yoga, such as Hayagriva, Yamantaka, Singamukha, and so on and so forth, you have to have a confidence in these Yidam deity practice. Not only that, you have to receive initiation first, and then you have to learn how to do the practice, exorcism, and so on and so forth. You have to understanding. You have to understand. You also have to understand how these practice actually works for your mind. It's not some sort of magic, you just say a few words, suddenly these deities come and fix everything, all your problems, or fix your ego problems, or it doesn't work like that, not quite like that. And you have to understand your ego. So to subdue ego means you have to understand what is ego, what is self-cherishing, what is self-grasping. Then you have to understand what is self, what is not self. Is there self or not? What is self? And self in Tibetan word is nga, or duck. It depends on the dialect. A certain area in Tibet they call duck. Certain area they call nga. And nga is common word in Tibet. Duck is a certain areas in Tibet they say duck. So anyway, duck and nga is the same thing. So now, is there a duck or nga? So does self exist inherently or not? And it appears like does exist inherently independent, especially when you are being so stubborn, and it feels like a real thing, is there, and then it's sort of like a little frightening for yourself, right? Because you are so powerful, so stubborn, and someone is good, someone is not good, and but then that self-cherishing self is associated with mind. It's without mind there's no self, right? So how does it work without mind, no self? Because self, what we say self is imputed, labeled by the mind. Self is labeled, imputed by mind. Like I, myself, yourself. You say, how's yourself today? Or myself today, I feel this way or that way. So that self is imputed label, and we have saying self is actually only the concept of self. There is no self other than the concept of self. Nga seti simgi lo karshota dota ora tobe ta ora nga de chota jenda tine nganzo ngaranzo cheranzo chik manguji su dua tikanga lo do ta ora. And then look, same get out of matter, same matawa, then nga ranking to a not to nga ranking to a yomarwa. nga se de lugi nga ta wa samji nga do re ma to lugi ma ta we nga ra ji chu ba chu chu nga chi yo ma re nga yo ma ta and otin de ta nga se ta. So first you have to understand that why, how does the mind imputing the label, right? So it's label or word, instead of, word. So mind is imputing the label. So this time I'd like to talk about the mind and nature of the mind and Mahamudra this time. This morning I went through the Mahamudra a little bit, and I think those of you attended this morning, you understand. So I will now explain more Mahamudra based on my book on Mahamudra. Here is the book, Gilu, Mahamudra, Eloquent Speech of Manjushri. And you can order this book through Amazon.com. So here it is, meditation on emptiness of self and meditating on the mind, mindfulness of mind. So here it is. Kyowan Jikten Sumgun, the founder of Digong Kagyu lineage states. So Kyowa is very famous Lama. He was founder of the Digong Kagyu tradition. Kagyu tradition, there is 4 main branches and 4 sub-branches, 8 branches. The main branches are the 4 ones. Digong Kagyu, Karma Kagyu, Tako Kagyu, and Dupa Kagyu, and so forth. So Digong Kagyu is a very popular lineage in Tibet at the time of Lama Tsongkhapa. And one of the Lama Tsongkhapa's master guru was in Digong Kagyu. And Jenghawa, his name is Jenghawa. Tadi Digong Kagyu kitene Lama Tsa Chimbu ta kaso Digong Kagyu ta tembe kitene kas Tsa Asanamando tembe so tangi ta Lama ke keta chichi de Jowaro Digong Jowan Jine Sumjingomos Jowan Jine Sumjingomos to Kawarenchi Sindama Tandang de Laju and the Achike Laju Naliora. Then Digong Jowa that Jerez to by Sotoba, and then Yangola Matsanga Chimbo Lama. Dunga you lama jenga shungi jore kira chimbu otu chenje yangola matsanga ba chimungune ta tero remero dunga you lama tene sakya ga lama ke kira chimbu ye shangba ka you den jene remere ta manzo giluba sama remere rime yimbare dan gerumbu chine sungde rime yimbare otu sre ta tadi chaji chimbo kolatni dung kaju jowan jitin sunji gombo sije de abu chiwi sondo wa. So jowan jitin sunji gombo state primordial primordial nature of the mind is unborn. It is like the center of the space. So the primordial nature of the mind is unborn. Primordial, the English word primordial is something kind of way, way beyond and beginningless, kind of, right? Primordial, original, or well, you can't really pinpoint and say this is primordial. And Tibetan word for primordial is called Doma. And then the Lama Chibina Dome Sanje Lama put in Dome Sangis. So in Tibetan word for primordial is called Dome Sangi, in the primordial Buddha and Samanda Bahadra, Dharmakaya Samanda Bahadra, Chukukundu Sambo. So in Lama Choba Guru Puja says primordial Dome Sangi Lama Le, may I achieve the enlightenment of the Guru and Buddha, which is a primordially enlightened one, right? So there is a primordial Buddha, and so primordial nature of the mind is unborn. So the nature of the mind is unborn, which means that it doesn't start anywhere. It's not born from somewhere. And that the simji, sim la jenga me, jewa me, gawa me, song the jewa me said, Dindin jing jevre say, Luzu sa yo mare song. Benamedo in a Dindijil jiggy or Shindo in the Dindijil jiggy or such and the jiggy or to send the Dindijil jiggy or Mongushia Yorwa, indigenous similar to me, Jasa Dindijin jevres. Nasan the Nizan and Gagris, jenga mevas or jewa yoma. That is the primordial nature of the mind is unborn. It is like the center of the space. So you look at the space, you look up there, and it's vast and empty, right? And some people do what they call sky gazing meditation. And you look at the sky, there's nothing there. And it's just blue sky. It's eternal and blue sky. In Mongolian, ancient Mongolian, Genghis Khan talks about eternal blue sky. Hohut Tingir. Hohut means blue. Tingir is the eternal creator or God. And so there is no beginning. And so it's like the center of the sky. You look at the mind. You sit down, meditate, look at your mind. You'll never find a beginning or end, and there's nothing there. It's vast, empty, and at the same time, clear light, and at the same time, it is very beautiful. What to say that? Appearance and emptiness are inseparable. So this is very good word here. This is exactly what Lama Tsongkhapa said. Appearance and emptiness at the same time. So you look at the glass of water. Okay, the appearance is the glass with the water. The emptiness of the glass of water, and in other words, the shunyata of the glass of water and the glass of water are the same. Appearance and emptiness are the same. They are because they are supporting each other, interdependent. And dependent arising and emptiness are one. According to Lama Tsongkhapa's teaching, praise to dependent arising says appearance and emptiness are one. And they sung appearance said nawada and nawada tumbani de jigdo jis jugu yore joan jigden sunjung mosoda nawada tumbani de ni jigdo jis jo teni rewa yo mare nawada tumbani de rewa mes dawa mes kakame tipo jijan yusoro tenji gela desido. Appearance and emptiness are inseparable. Inseparable means non-duality, indivisible, right? Tokela inseparable sayadila, injikela inseparable sayadila, tokela tatila yawa yo mare, trava yo mare, dawa, trava that's a kakaja yo mare. Injikela tsikashidawa, inseparable, indivisible, non-duality. You can use all these different words. The meaning is same. Okay. So the mind is root of samsara and nirvana. Same day, kowa the nyangin the niga the tawa yinsumo. That inchi tell this. Inchi kela, the mind is the root of samsara and nirvana. Same day, korawe the tawa, kowa kogo yagitini. You saw the similar level, you move to some similar level. Yangel and Deva, the Tajima Komala, Samatoya de Tobsagi, Karsawadi, similes, in the So, why we're in samsara? Because of our mind. How do you achieve nirvana? Because of your mind. You can achieve eternal bliss of nirvana because of your mind. You meditate on Satipatthana, you meditate on Dharma, practice Sila Samadhi Prajna, you meditate on morality, concentration, and wisdom Prajna, Sila Samadhi Prajna, according to Theravada Buddhist tradition. right? Sila, Samadhi, Prajna, and according to Mahayana tradition, we practice three, three principal paths: renunciation, bodhicitta, and method and wisdom. And the path is the method and wisdom, and sutra and tantra and so on and so forth. Then you can achieve nirvana, you can achieve mahaparinirvana, you can achieve enlightenment, Buddhahood. And so mind is the root of everything. The mind is creator of perfection and imperfection. So that's very clear. So whatever we call perfection is created by our mind. Whatever you call it imperfection is created by mind. So there is no perfect perfection. There's no perfect perfection. There's no imperfect imperfection. And nothing is inherently perfect. Nothing is inherently imperfect. Imperfect and perfect are one. Two sides of the door, two sides of the coin. And without a perfection, there's no without perfection, and there's no imperfection. Okay, and you say in Spanish, you say perfection, right? Or maybe the same word in French. I'm not sure. So these two the same thing, right? And it's kind of like samsara and nirvana. It's the same thing in a way. And it's like Kadamba Geshe's teacher says, samsara is like water, and nirvana is like ice. Without ice, water, there's no ice. Right? Without ice, there's no water either, because water comes from the ice melting. But in the yang daba dang, and then because yang daba member ni, and the yang ngojiba ngo kasam ngojiba ita jiba insong. Yang daba said the yang mada said ta mada said the jil din chungwa. And Kadamba Geshe to Sumudo. Koda Yangilan deba ni the chudam chakpa nashins. Chu many chakwa chai omarash, chakwa chai omaro. Chakwa many chu yung yoma, chu yung sadi, chakwa ninga yongoro. And it then chu de kingjin, that chakwa sigaro, chakwa sigota, Madu Pailena, sha chagar, chakwa chagar. Chu many chakwa chai omaro. It is a core manner, Yangilan deba kandi, Kumakandis Turi. Ale Koani Atloni Yangilan Togorwa. Tamboni Yangil Dedingi Yomarwa. That Jumbakoma, Tamboni took the Nichikawayo. Jun the Chosa Dijang Majewala, and then Rajumbakoma Tongi Yomarwa. Chosa Diva Majani, Sanji Koma Tongi Yomar, Tamboni Sanji Ochi Yomare. Domi Sanji Singati, Yakono Tiger, Kashing Domi Sanji Sayati, Tamboni Yachi, Chosa Dijang Majo, Sanji Jore Sachido. Today, Yomare. Domi Sanji said, Domi Sanji Lamale, Command to say, Tomane, Nanzo Samala, Sanji Comba Toya, Kokob Yovatan, Sanji Ri Yovatene, T. Junsin Chene, Domi Sanji and Domi Sanji Sela, we are mother. Sosa Duja Majo Sanji Yomare. That they are quoted, that's Maraja. So the Tibetan word Domi Sangi means primordial Buddha, right? Some people misunderstood about this word of primordial Buddha. They think there's one Buddha is always being Buddha. Some kind of like the Judeo-Christian notion of God, or a Hindu notion of God, like Brahma and Atma or whatever. And there's some kind of Buddha that is always being a Buddha. And that's not the case. That's not how it is. How could you have one Buddha, never done any purification, accumulations, and never went through the step-by-step to the path of enlightenment, gradual path, already always being Buddha. And then the rest of us, we have to go through so much struggle. We have to do so much practice for years and years and years, and then life after life, life after life. Sometimes you have to go through kalpas, eons. So how does that work? It doesn't work like that. It's contradiction, right? So the primordial Buddha is, the meaning of primordial Buddha is, what it means is that there is chance, there is an opportunity, there is a potential for all of us to become Buddha. from beginningless time. The potential is there beginningless time. The Buddha nature is there with us from beginningless time. The potential to become Buddha is from the beginningless time. Nobody created this. It's always there. Like Zen Buddhism, I am saying, we are all destined to become Buddha. So why worry, right? And but the question is, when you're going to become a Buddha, right? And so that's why then people don't just say, well, we're going to be enlightened one day. Why bother sitting on a cushion? They don't do that. They do the opposite. They sit on the cushion until the cushion is falling apart, and chop the wood, carry water, and they sit so long, and so long, difficult, Actually, I like to tell you a little story. 1980, I immigrated to Canada from Australia. On my way, out of the blue, I end up in Hawaii. I never thought I was going to United States of America. I didn't have any kind of a really strong desire to go to America, and I want to go to Canada. So I got all the immigration papers, everything. Before I came to Canada and in Australia from the Canadian consulate, I got all the papers. They told me, you go to Canada within 6 months. As soon as you landed at the border or the airport, you become a landed immigrant, permanent resident. Wow, what a good karma, right? So then, because I got all the right papers for permanent resident, and no problem getting a visa, transit visa in America. And Canada and America, we're our biggest neighbors, we're allies and friends, right? So I thought, hey, I should stop in Hawaii. And one of my friends, Australian guy, we were traveling together. He said, yeah, let's stop in Hawaii. It's nice to have a little visit Hawaii. It's like a God realm. I said, okay, let's go there. And I end up in Honolulu. And then I stayed at Kalu Rinpoche Center there, beautiful place. Lama Rinchen, I think his name, he's a great Lama. He invited us. And then next day I got invitation from the Zen Center, Robert Atiken Roshi. He was American Roshi, and he invited me to have a cup of tea and session. We sat a little bit, meditate, and then had tea. Then there was lots of questions. As one of our American Zen student asked me a question. He said, I heard in Tibetan Buddhism you have many steps, and could you tell me these steps? I like to now go step by step. And I've been sitting on the cushion for 10 years, and we don't have many steps here. Or at least I don't see the steps. And can you tell me the steps? They said, I can't tell you all the steps in such a short time. And why don't you read a Lamrim book? And then he said, what is that? He said, there's a book, Lamrim, called Lamrim, which means gradual path to enlightenment, step by step. You read that book. So he said, yes, sir, that's good advice. He was very happy. So he told me he has been sitting on a cushion for 10 years. So I think he must be a very good meditator and, good practitioner. I rejoice for him. So that was a very beautiful experience. I really enjoyed meeting with Robert Atiken Roshi. He was a wonderful Roshi, a wonderful teacher. And that's my story, nice little story every now to talk about. Here I will now continue. Joan Jigden Sumjing was teaching. The mind is the cause of suffering and happiness. As we know that, don't need to talk about. Mind is creator of samsara and nirvana, both. When you realize the ultimate nature of the mind, there will be enlightenment. So when you realize ultimate nature of the mind, which is the shunyata of the mind, or emptiness of the mind, then you will get the glimpse of experience, or like a dawn of enlightenment. You'll see, you get some idea how you're going to get enlightened. It's like looking at the GPS, today's term, right? And in old days, you look at the map. Now you know where you can go. And you can go, you can travel. This, you got the map in your hands, kind of like that. So you then have some more understanding about the enlightenment path. This is why meditation on emptiness and Mahamudra is very important. Therefore, there is no need to seek enlightenment elsewhere. Mission de la donga da dewa kanga te yungsa kawan yungresene semne yungres sem rale dewa chamchi semne jung donga chamchi yungsa de semne yung de du niga then de son da when you realize ultimate nature ta same get nilu Tandambe nilu de yaguchi sona, any Sanji Gomba la ta nirnu gres, Sanji Gomba Kandes and Togi Menezu de that Yaguchi she yungres. Ati Semji nilu de that Semji nilu de Tumbanyera, Sem Tumbani, Nilu Yaguchi sona, and that Sanji Gomba the Nendripiche, Togi and Da something the summer to the Chita, Carso Koyungor. Therefore, there is no need to seek enlightenment elsewhere. So, if you're seeking enlightenment, Buddhahood, you look at your mind, you search enlightenment within you, not somewhere else. You can't find enlightenment from the mountains. You can't find enlightenment from holy places. You can't find enlightenment from Amazon forest. You cannot find enlightenment in the big cities like Paris or some exotic place and Champs-Élysées, and you can't find enlightenment some beautiful city or a beautiful forest or somewhere else, or pick up the mountain, top of Mount Everest, and you can't find enlightenment on the top of the Mount Everest, and you can't find enlightenment at the bottom of the ocean. You dive down, swim along with whales and dolphins and so on. So you can't find stuff anywhere. You can only find enlightenment in your mind. You can't seek from anywhere else. That Sanji Komba to Muto Kawa Zegor, second Ruina, sim on the Zegor. Yamato, Gendaji, Chilog, Gendaji, Sanji, about Ria, was Ritombo Bay, and Jomolamax on region Gold Raya, and it jumps in the Machi, and so on. And it's Tunchin Yinji water, Lingan Dosaki, such a Yakutindi, Chini, Sanji Komba. And then Rosa de Nor. Sanji Gomanguni take away a gomjab, Yamlincho, Yamlin Abuche, then Lamri Abujum, then Chajachimogum, Tuni Dawa, Minjun Chansem Yanda Betawa Yabujum, Chur Yamle Abuche, Lama Yabuche, Yidam Te, and Damsi Abosong, or to Sheni, Chur, Dum, said and them, but Sudden Tumba. Chedin Sundu, or to Geneve, Yamjunji, Awoji, then Gomjagin, then that's Sanji Gomba, Kandi Towi, that Lam can go in it in Zuyo, or to therefore, okay, the true nature of the mind is Tathagata Garba, the Buddha nature. Okay. At the ultimate level, there is no difference between our Buddha nature and the Buddha. Okay, so true nature of the mind is Tathagata Garba. So our true nature of the mind is Tathagata Garba. Tathagata Garba means Buddha nature. Okay, as I said before, Maitreya Buddha's teaching, Mahayana Uttara Tantra, explains about all these different examples. There are actually 9 examples of 9 examples of Tathagata Garba. Rinchina Chuda, Pedagani, Shevrichesa. Sanji Bengi Dangzi Damala, Sentangi Tsik the Kanga, Yabuchanimadu, Peja the Malam Jun, which is on. Sanji Bengi Dangzi Damala, Sota Dinijan, Sanji, Medo Bema, Dangzi, and Tatus to Jinma, Peguyore, or the Pegu Tangus, Yula Mayabu Suda, Chingirawa, Otusi, Teni Rinchen Namga Chuda, Rimbuche, the Chuda, Teni Namkala, so that was Bayar. Otuchinta, Karshote, the nature of the mind is the Tagatagata. Sanji Rik said, Rik Telaya, Rini, Jenju Rik, and Karshota, that Injitola is Buddha nature, Tathagata Garba, two kinds of Tathagata Garba, natural Tathagata Garba, developing Tathagata Garba. The Tibetan word, Jenju Rik, the Jenju Rik, Rajin Neriks, Rik Rajin Nerik, Jenju Geriks, Jenjuru Neriks. Sanji Rik, the Yo around same day, Sanji Rik. That day, Rajin Neriks is same day, Kora Rajin Maruba, Demba Maruba, Tumbani Inzani, Rajin Neriksa. All the Kaldine, Jenju Geriks, Jenjuru said, same day, Ya Yajetan, Juru said, Jubutan, Jujutan. Jujudan, Yawoji, Lojong Yamlea, which Lamrim Yamlea, which same Jujudan, Jenju Greeks, and then same Yari Chen, Juruchin, Tameg assembly, Tene, and Pakbag Sem, Janju Simbe, that's Simsura, Sanji, two number Jimbishi, those who's Yaya, Jugu, the Jenjus, Dashet, tended it. So there's two kinds of Buddha nature. One is called natural Tathagata Garba, the other one is developing Tathagata Garba. So there's much details in this book, Buddha nature, the Mahayana Uttara Tantra, and there's commentaries by Gyaltsab J, Lama Tsongkhapa's disciple, chief disciple, first Gamden Chipa, Gyaltsab J, Gyaltsab Namarinji, Tatik. Also, one of the very first disciple Lama Tsongkhapa, Gyaltsab Je, he composed a text commentary of Gyu Lama Uttara Tantra, Gyula Tatik, so Tamarinching Tiga. So the Tamarinching is his name. Tiga is the Sanskrit word, means text. So Tamarinching wrote this book. There are many commentaries of Uttara Tantra. It's also very popular in the Kagyu tradition as well. So, so the natural Tathagata Garba is naturally your mind is voidness. Nature of your mind is clear light and knower, as I mentioned before, when we talk about the definition of the mind. Clear light and knower. Naturally, your mind is got the potential and the characteristics to experience ultimate mind, ultimate nature, realize shunyata, and your mind is empty of inherent existence. Similar, same manchi, same in the verse of what man in the lower. This morning I said, according to Prajna Paramita Sutra, states that mind doesn't exist within the mind. True nature of the mind is clear light and knower. So, similar, same manchi. So, mind doesn't exist within mind. What it means that when you look at your mind, when you meditate on your mind, you will not find a solid mind, some kind of inherent existing mind. And mind is the concept of mind. So the meditator is the mind. What you're meditating on is mind to mind. According to Vipassana tradition and Theravadan tradition, they talk about mind to mind and body to body. So, natural Tathagata basically means the shunyata of the mind. Natural Tathagata. Developing Tathagata is so the mind, that mind, your mind and my mind, everybody's mind has natural tendency, and it has a nature, I should say. Sometimes get mixed up nature and natural. It has nature to develop. This is always has been this way. There's the nature of the mind developing. Mind is grasping, learning fast. I mean, you look at small children, little babies, and 6 months old baby or a 1 year old baby, how fast they're growing, how fast they're learning words and concepts, and amazing, and words and everything. And I have a great nephew, he's only 6 years old. He knows so many words. And when he was 5 years old, he can read everything. And I surprised myself, wow, this kid is amazing. You know, he knows all the numbers and everything, can read everything fast, learn so fast, naturally learning. And like that, we're learning all the time. And not only human beings, you look at animals, and they can learn things fast. They're learning naturally. They have what do you call the instinct, right? They know how to survive. They know where to go, and migration and seasonal migration, traveling for thousands of miles, all the way from Arctic Circle down to the Antarctic or somewhere down to Tierra del Fuego, Galapagos Island, so on, migrating and by instinct, they know where to go, what to do, survival. And so mind is very powerful. It just picks up everything. So developing Tathagata, that's what developing, it got naturally developing, moving. But the question is, you have to develop in a positive way. You have to move towards the right direction. And you can be a scientist, you could be a geologist, you could be a computer programmer, you can do anything. And you can be also a Dharma practitioner at the same time. And you can learn so much. So developing Tathagata, that's Genju research in there. Genju research, the same Quran, the Karsota, Gangachi Shia get in there, and Shia get in it. Takarsota, Rangshin, Yorwa, attending Genju Shia, and Tobochea, the Yamne Che Toya, the Sanji Combo Toya, in Karsota, Rangshin, Yoanzani, Genju, Rangshineri, the Genju Reeks, at the potential of the Inchkel, at the Karsota, Jew, Jen Samatandi. But the Kate should Lam Yapojila, Shu, Lama Yapojik, Sachimujik, nay, any social Tamsik Samachi, Yabuji, Yamlinche, Yamjunje, Redsetting Sundunjin, Jadi, Kachimbo, or two three. So, Mahamudra is a technique to experience the nature of the mind and to understand, while always noting that there are different levels of mind. When we practice Samatha Mahamudra meditation, our coarse mind is meditating on the subtle mind. At this point, we are not sure whether we are able to meditate on a subtle mind, but it is good to keep trying. We use the subtle mind as an object of meditation and the coarse mind as a seeking mind, and I call it mind to mind. So when we meditate on Mahamudra, when we practice mindfulness of mind, according to Satipatthana Sutra, we talk about mindfulness of mind, right? So here, according to Lojong practice or Mahamudra practice, when you meditate, so when you're observing the mind, what we're doing is our coarse mind is trying to meditate on the subtle mind. So now, coarse mind is the intellectual mind and the conceptual awareness, and is concentrating or meditating on the subtle mind, subtle nature of the mind, and ultimate nature of the mind. So in the beginning, as a beginner, as a novice, it is not quite sure whether you are or we are able to meditate on the subtle mind or not. We're not sure. We're not sure. We can't say. But we're trying. Always try. Trying is important. And that's how you do. You keep meditating, and if you can't recognize the subtle mind or subtlety of the mind, and you just keep meditating on coarse mind, or then gradually you can see the some differences, some clarity, and you will experience, right? And just like a life, we process, we have saying the life is process of making mistakes. And we make mistakes and then we learn, keep making mistakes, we learn. And then we make so many thousands of mistakes and then we learn. Then we stop making mistakes. And that's how it is. It's like a child, little baby, start crawling and stand up, fall down and stand up, walk a few steps, fall down. And then one day he takes off, doesn't fall down anymore, keep on running around like crazy. And you have to chase this baby now, can't even chase him. He runs so fast. And so kind of the mind is like that. And so when we talk about mind, I won't go into too much details of mind. Usually we have, according to philosophy, we have 6 primary mind, and then secondary minds, and 20 secondary minds, and so on and so forth. So I don't need to talk about this right now. And then I will go to Mahamudra meditation now. Mahamudra states, Mahamudra is the state of non-dual awareness. So Mahamudra is another Kagyupa Lama, very famous Lama, Dongon Mahamudra. Mahamudra means one who achieved Vajravarahi. So he was a great practitioner who achieved the realization of Vajrayogini, Vajravarahi, Pagmo, Rupa. Otandi, Chaji Chimbu didn't seek Mahamudra get sung, say, Sabashu, Dongon Mahamudra. Pamutuba Shirati, then Jejun to Jinanjuma, Pamo, Brumne, the Tobatumba paving, Lamasachimbo, Dongo Pamotubasa. Pamutuba, Dinima, Daka Ju Chase Junji to Sman Juba Yonga, Pamutuba means been a tutorial. Yangola Masanga Chimbo, and the Naruchi to Tea Nalatine, Pamutuba in the Sungudun, the Sungudus and Salon, the Trungo to so. Gomdang to the Pamutraba Chasha, we are Kachimbre, Tachimbre. Oh, Pamutraba. Pamutraba states that Mahamudra is state of non-dual awareness, non-dual awareness. So when you meditate on Mahamudra, you are trying to meditate on non-duality of the mind. And he explains here, there are 3 aspects of non-dual mind, 3 aspects: essence, nature, and characteristics. The essence is emptiness, rising, ceasing, and conceiving. So essence of the mind is rising, ceasing, and conceiving. So this morning when I was teaching Satipatthana Sutra in the Nikaya, Satipatthana Sutra, the discourse by Buddha, it says, when a bhikkhu is sitting there cultivating mindfulness of mind, he will then realize the thoughts are arising, right? Then you must know your thoughts are arising, and defilements are arising, and also your thoughts are vanishing. And the bhikkhu must know his thoughts are vanishing and disappearing or coming and going all the time. And this is nature of the mind. This is impermanent of the mind. This is the characteristic of the mind. Mind comes and goes, arising. And this is nature of the mind, arising, ceasing, and conceiving. And now, this is all part of the essence. Nature, what is the nature of the mind? Nature of the mind is unobstructed in lucidity. Nature of the mind is unobstructed. And the true nature of the mind cannot be obstructed by anything. True nature of the mind. And lucidity means clear. True nature of the mind is clear. And characteristic of the mind is diverse appearance on the level of samsara and nirvana. So you have diverse appearance, different kinds of appearance. Samsara, nirvana, this and that. And So I think maybe that's enough talking about the nature of the mind. So now I would like to go into more meditation, Samatha Mahamudra meditation instructions. This is a Lojong because Lojong means, as I said before many times, transforming a consciousness, right? So in order to transform your consciousness, you have to try to understand. You have to try to understand the nature of the mind. Lojong said, Lojong said, Lo said, Semrawa. Lojong la same with nature to test Shevachewa. The same with Tola Gomja, Yamlenche, and Chaji Chembo, Shinegi Chaji Chembo, the Gomel, Kachembore. And the Gomdan de Kashote, Pension was on shooting song, Shuji Songdoa, and the Chaji Chembo. Now I'm going to explain how to do the actual meditation on Samatha Mahamudra. According to Gelug lineage, following the sacred instruction of the first Panchen Lama, Losang Chuji Gyaltsen, Mahamudra practitioners has to find a conducive place, peaceful, quiet place, not too hot, not too cold, and so on. And then you sit cross your leg and follow the seven posture of Vairocana. And then first you take refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Take refuge to Buddha as a teacher and guide, Dharma as a path, and Sangha as a spiritual community. Then you take refuge to your Guru, Mahamudra Guru, and what do you that? Recite the name of the Guru. Imagine your Guru then transform into light, dissolve into you. You receive the blessing and inspiration to do Mahamudra meditation. Now, Chaji Chambo Gom Tangbo di Derekaso, the Shine Gongorwa, Gombala, Ale Tangbo, Tata Gomdan in Gomse Saja del, Saja Yaboji, or Saja Yabosanata, Kagusumbo, or Shine Gomse near the Chibari, Kagusumboji. Singja Sawa, Dam and the Mambo, Tinimava, Sadi, Kasoti, Namishita, Momo, Shidar, Sawa Meva, and then Chadu Nyombo, and the chick, Chini Dema, Gomjas and Chini Dema, Sajat in the Jilla, and then some hangs on the two hangs on the Ned and the Gom, or any Chobasham, Lunam now, children ninja, Yawoj Gom de. Tambo Lunam no children de any Tambo Jambrichi, Sanjela Josujo, Chola Josujo, Gendina Josujo, then Lama Josujo, Sanjela Josujo, Jambria, which then Lama Dunum, Lame, then Changatu, which down, and then Duzum Baby and Duzuma, Lamin, Togan, Duzuma, Bab, Duzga, Susu Hinga, Joan, Hinga, Hinga, by Joan, Demban, Demban, Hinga, Duzma, Tim, Lamichan, Semin. You song, I charge him Bogoyala, Corso Chalab, but now was in the top song, or down as charges in Bogoyala Bay, some future person, or some delay, some of them, so delay, some of them, and it charges him testing. Don't go to yet. So you, after you receive the blessings from the Guru, then you now begin to meditate on Mahamudra. The great first Panchen Lama, Lama's Mahamudra commentary, in its marvelous poetic way, explains the method of meditation. So his first Panchen Lama wrote root text of Mahamudra, and he wrote also solo commentary, his own commentary. It's wonderful. My book is based on first Panchen Lama's Mahamudra and another 4 other prominent Gelug masters commentary on Mahamudra. And so here is the explanation. While observed unwaveringly in this haphazard state, lacking any obvious point appearance or disappearance, exceptions, doubt, or superstitious thoughts, one should remain calmly in the state of samatha. So this is very beautiful explanation. And then Dengi tanda chaji chambu debde, benjilo san chujingi, chaji chambu, zandi niga ishachi, tiga langanzo, ruo gedembege, lama, chaji chambu jiki, lama jik, and chaji chambu dewa, and etes, those majurin, to shaving. And they said that, now bamboo mandelas, redo namdo, senta, now bamboo mandela said, those deni gomjan energy. Now, Pembun said, Pakaso, Pembun said, Tobjago Jackson is got that Tobjago, Shidagway, Damon Tenjum Bevo that Mambo, some of Madame, topless. Pembun sing it. Now, Pembun Nanlela, Mantella, Redo, Namdo, Rewada, Toba, Namdo Kage Mavache. That Revach and Angatari Chaji Chimbo Gomu, that chick, Toba Tombo Chigiri, Toba Chig. Centennial Ravashika Mavachi. At Topochen and Angati, Gomdi Janchik, Ionachik, Topochi, Unamio, Courage and Dakandin, Kalakabushi, Resha, Chasing the Lavamans and Tindig, Topos and the Simply Chijo, Maris, Akora, logic simchiks, and the Pagil can figure out logic simchiks. You meditate, just meditate. So in Tibetan we have saying, logic simchik means logic means one mind. Semchik means one thought. Or in other words, do not think twice. Don't think twice. Just do it. Just sit on it and do it. Don't question. Don't analyze too much. And here, First Panchen Lama says, while observed unwaveringly, so you're sitting there unwavering, not moving your mind, stay calm. In this haphazard state, haphazard is, I think there's a different way of explaining haphazard, but my definition of haphazard is like you kind of like naturally and more or less spontaneously just sort of sit and do it, haphazard. Now, Tibetan word is Nawa Pembun Angelas. Nawa Pembun. Pembun is not easy to translate because it's not a colloquial word. It's a Dharma word. Nawa Pembun Angela. Redo namdo rewa the toba namdo mevachi chijomas. So haphazard state lacking any obvious point. So you don't have any particular point, appearance or disappearance, and you don't have a point, in other words, some kind of object of visualization or sort of, something about the thoughts, and I want to meditate on this thought or that thought, this mind or that mind. You don't have any kind of obvious point or object, and expectations or doubts or superstitious thought. So you should not have expectations of anything. And you should not also have superstitious mind. Don't worry. Don't think. Don't worry about anything. You don't need to think about something goes wrong with my meditation. You should not think, am I doing the Mahamudra on the right day? Why don't I wait on full moon day or some holy day or Salt day? You don't need to do that. Mahamudra is, you can meditate anytime, any day. Any day is a good day. Generally speaking, when you want to do Dharma practice, meditation on Lamrim or three principle path, Guru Yoga, Vajrasattva mantra recitation, whatever you do, there is no such thing, good day or bad day. Every day, Dharma practice is good, or every day is a good day. And so you should not have expectation or superstition mind. And thoughts. one should maintain calmly in the state of samatha. This does not mean your mind is spaced out or has gone into the state of semi-sleep or fainting. Instead, you guard the mind with pure awareness without distraction or mental dullness. So, when you talk about haphazardly meditating without expectations or without superstitious mind, does not mean you just kind of go quiet in dormant state or sort of dullness state or hang out, see what happened. And I will meditate on Mahamudra, maybe some giant realization will fall down in my lap. Or maybe small realization will come down on my lap. Or something, I might see something from my forehead. Or I might hear some kind of holy mantra in my ear. And some kind of voice, or don't think about like that. Don't have any expectations. And don't worry about it. And don't need to worry about anything. So just meditate. How about that? That's not the meaning of haphazard. And like going into sort of like semi-sleep or going into some kind of trance state. So, but it doesn't mean you're going into semi-sleep. At the same time, you do have to sit properly. You have to have awareness of Mahamudra. You have to know that you are the meditator. You have to know you are meditating on Mahamudra. You must not redirect your mind consciousness somewhere else by something else. You should not sort of wandering around all over the place. You can't say, well, it's on Mahamudra level, everything is perfect. And you can't do that. Everything is not perfect. And in one sense, yes, but not always, especially when you're as a beginner meditator, right? And so I think now I will leave it here today. Now, are you wondering why I did not go through the text of Will of Sharp Weapon? I felt this point it's important to talk a little bit about the mind, because when you go through the verse 51, 52, 53, 54, it's quite wrathful. There's lots of words saying you should cut this, cut that, destroy your enemies. You use a mantra, hong hong, pei pei, and maraya, maraya, and so on and so forth. It's quite wrathful. And some people maybe have a little hard to understand what are we doing here. And so I think first you have to understand more about the mind. Then you can understand more about what are we doing here. And this kind of exorcism or wrathful practice here, DT, basically looks like a DT yoga, go through some ways, some level. And Dhammarakshita is, it shows that Dhammarakshita was a big time practitioner of Vajrabhairava Yamantaka. Okay, if you have any questions, most welcome.
So Amanda asks, Amanda,
yeah.
Your kind teaching is clear. We need to move forward. No, we need to move towards mind of clear light with Lamrim, Lojong, and Mahamudra, etc. Zen does not have so much step-by-step training, but Zen way works for some folks. So what would be the difference, she's asking? Why Zen is good for some and Lamrim is good for others?
Well, I'm not an expert of Zen. I am not a Zen practitioner. I have a Zen friends. I have a student who does a lot of Zen practice, who have done Zen sessions, so on and so forth. Also done lots of Lamrim Tibetan Buddhist practice. And there is a lot of complementary to each other. I don't see contradictions. I read books by Suzuki Roshi, not Atke Roshi, Philip Kaplu Roshi, and I wrote a number of books. I like those books. Zen teachings are very beautiful. and based on Heart Sutra Prajna Paramita. So what I see is Zen is based on Prajna Paramita Sutra. And I see there is a common ground between Zen and Mahamudra and Chud. Very, very helpful. So it's hard to say which path is which is suitable for which. I think that depends on the person. See, I think Zen practice, as you know, Zen practice not so easy, and there's no easy path, but it's the method is very direct and very powerful, and there's a simplicity, the art of Zen, simplicity, and it is very appealing for some people and good for some people. And some people like the Tibetan Buddhist approach, and not so simple, but there's lots of elaboration, lots of colorful, lots of chantings and mantras and visualizations, very sort of exotic. Some people like that, and people need that. Like they all could be like therapeutic, and you go through these different steps. So and different methods. We have lots of what we call preliminary practice, and then actual practice, and very beautiful. You have no moment of how should I say, boring, or and you can switch from here and there. Like it's not like driving automatic car. It's like you're driving standard car, and so depends on what kind of car you want.
Right. Whatever works for your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So, anybody have any other questions, please?
Well, I see there's 77 people yet, and
so
yes.
Tess Tsering asked, what distinguishes the subtle from the coarse mind?
Subtle and the coarse mind?
Yeah, what is the differentiation there?
So, yeah, that's a good question. Coarse mind is, I think, usually what we call the conventional mind. So, for example, I'm sitting here, something that familiar to me, and something that I do, something that I see. I'm drinking a glass of water. I'm drinking coffee, and I'm sitting on a cushion. I know I'm sitting on a cushion meditating, and I'm about to finish this session. This kind of mind, I'm talking to you right now, answering your question. This is a coarse mind. Okay. Subtle mind is you understanding or knowing the nature of the mind, and you see the mind is clear light, and knower. You see how the mind is clear light. How is that? How is the mind is knower? The word says definition of mind is clear light and knower. So what does that mean? Knower. You look at that, then you see, now I got the idea. I know what that means, knower. Okay, now I can see that mind is clear light. And now I can see the mind is impermanent. And the mind is clear light and knower, and mind is subject, the mind is object. I can see it, This kind of understanding is a subtle mind. It doesn't really happen usually. It doesn't always there. And unless you cultivate, you meditate on it, investigating, then you get the understanding of subtle mind. Subtle mind is arising in your consciousness level. And there's layers of consciousness, different layers. The subtle mind is slowly coming, arising.
Wonderful, thank you. Joe Holliday asks Rinpoche, for the three characteristics of Mahamudra, is the third diverse appearance the object to be abandoned?
Mm-hmm. Object
to be abandoned.
To be abandoned?
Yeah, the third diverse appearance,
Yeah.
the object to be abandoned.
Third, there are three aspects. First one is essence, second is natural nature, third one characteristic. Is the diverse appearance on the level of samsara and nirvana. So his question is that the third characteristic mind should be abandoned?
Mm-hmm. The object to be abandoned.
Object to be abandoned. Oh, I see. No, not abandoned. That's just the way it is, the nature of the mind, not to be abandoned. So let me read my commentary here. Characteristic of Mahamudra are diverse appearance, dependent arising in emptiness, like water and ice. Samsara is like water and ice. Samsara is like water and nirvana is like ice. You see the nature of the mind as a spacious. So anyway, this is characteristic of mind. It's a diverse appearance. It has so many different kinds of appearance. Good. What are you looking at?
The number, page number.
Page A.
Yeah.
150.
150. Okay, thank
you. Page 150. So so it is not for not object of abandonment. No.
Okay. Sorry for interrupting you.
Yeah.
Wait. Any other questions, please?
Okay. So I guess that's good. There's no question right now. No question is good question. And so, all right. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for your joining the teaching today. This Tuesday, we are going to do Vajrayogini Sadhana. I think it's 3:30.
Yes, I believe so.
3:30. Yeah, 3:30. So those of you who received Vajrayogini initiations, you can join us at 3:30 in BC time, our time here. And Australia, that will be 10:30, I think, in Australia. And Ontario is 6:30. And so as long as you have received the initiation, Vajrayogini initiation, you can join. You don't need prerequisites as like retreat or teaching, so on and so forth. Just practice. So we'll do the long sadhana of Vajrayogini. You need a copy of long sadhana. If you don't have, please let us know. We will send you the copy on electronic copies. And so you're most welcome. Good. All right. Thank you very much. Good night. Good afternoon.